Senator Obama, you both have now just taken this pledge on people under $250,000 and 250,000?
Well, it depends on how you calculate it, but it would be between 200 and 250,000.
All right. You have, however, said you would favor an increase in the capital gains tax. As a matter of fact, you said on CNBC, and I quote, "I certainly would not go above what existed under Bill Clinton, which was 28%. It's now 15%. That's almost a doubling if you went to 28%. But actually, Bill Clinton in 1997 signed legislation that dropped the capital gains tax to 20%.
Right.
And George Bush has taken it down to 15%. Right. And in each instance, when the rate dropped, revenues from the tax increased. The government took in more money. And in the 1980s, when the tax was increased to 28%, the revenues went down. So why raise it at all, especially given the fact that 100 million people in this country own stock and would be affected?
Well, Charlie, what I've said is that I would look at raising the capital gains tax for purposes of fairness.
So what is it he just said there? He said he wants to raise capital gains tax for the purposes of fairness? Now, we just heard that when you raise the tax, the revenue goes down. So it's not for economic purposes. This is because of coveting, Joe. That's one of the commandments. Thou shalt not covet. Somebody else has got something and you think you should have it. That doesn't sound fair to me at all. And it doesn't make any economic sense. Let's take a look at how taxes are really divided up here and who really pays their fair share, shall we? Okay, Joe, let's try something different for a change here. Instead of opinion pieces and cartoons, let's take a look at some cold hard facts. Okay, we just got done hearing how raising taxes actually reduces revenue. But who's actually paying this revenue? Well, let's take a look here. The top 25% income level pays 85% of the total revenue that goes into the Treasury, while the bottom 50% pays 3% of the revenue that goes into the Treasury. That doesn't sound very fair to me, does it to you? I think we need to make the top 25% pay 100% of the revenue, and we'll just go along for the ride. Wouldn't that be fair? Redistribution of wealth. We're going to take a look at that. It's a famous quote from the communist Karl Marx: "From each according to his ability, to each according to his need." Let's see what the famous Barack Obama has to say about redistribution of wealth.
You know, if you look at the victories and failures of the civil rights movement and its litigation strategy in the court, I think where it succeeded was to vest formal rights in previously dispossessed peoples, so that I would now have the right to vote. I would now be able to sit at a lunch counter and order, and as long as I could pay for it, I'd be okay. But the Supreme Court never ventured into the issues of redistribution of wealth and sort of more basic issues of political and economic justice in the society. And to that extent, as radical as I think people tried to characterize the Warren Court, it wasn't that radical. It didn't break free from the essential constraints that were placed by the Founding Fathers in the Constitution, at least as it's been interpreted.
Oh my word. What did he just say?
It didn't break free from the essential constraints that were placed by the Founding Fathers in the Constitution.
So, Joe, if you want to be a socialist, that's your prerogative, but don't try and spin this class envy thing around and try and hang that around the necks of conservatives. Robin Hood is alive and well, and you're one of his merry men.